My stepfather pushed me into the water as a joke. I made him the punchline. My stepfather Rodney came into my life when I was 12 years old. My mom had been single for 4 years after my dad passed away, and she was lonely. Rodney was a coworker who asked her out repeatedly until she finally said yes. He was loud and confident and told jokes constantly. My mom laughed at everything he said like he was the funniest person alive. I never found him funny. From the beginning, Rodney treated me like an obstacle between him and my mother. He complained when I interrupted their conversations. He sighed when I needed rides to school activities. He made comments about how expensive kids were and how lucky he was that he never had any of his own. My mom always defended him by saying he just needed time to adjust. He never adjusted, he just got worse. When I was 14, my mom and Rodney got married. The wedding was small, and I wasn't asked to be part of it. Rodney said having a kid in the ceremony would make things awkward. My mom agreed because she wanted him to be comfortable. I sat in the audience and watched my mother marry a man who couldn't even pretend to include me on the most important day of her life. That set the tone for the next 2 years. Rodney's favorite thing to do was make me the target of his jokes. He made fun of my grades even though they were decent. He made fun of my clothes even though I bought them myself with babysitting money. He made fun of my friends even though he never bothered to meet them. Every family dinner included at least one comment at my expense, followed by Rodney laughing at his own humor. My mom would tell me to lighten up. She said Rodney was just trying to bond with me. She said this was how he showed affection. I didn't feel affection. I felt small. The fishing trip happened the summer I turned 16. Rodney announced he was taking the family to a lake cabin for a long weekend. He made it sound like a generous gift, even though my mom paid for most of it. I didn't want to go, but my mom begged me to give Rodney a chance. She said it could be a fresh start for all of us. I agreed because I loved my mom and I wanted her to be happy. The first day at the cabin was fine. We unpacked and explored the area and had dinner together. Rodney was on his best behavior, and I started to think maybe this trip would be different. The second day, Rodney suggested we go fishing on the dock. He said it would be a good bonding activity. My mom stayed behind to read and told us to have fun. I followed Rodney down to the water even though I didn't really want to spend time alone with him. We fished in silence for about an hour. I actually started to relax. The lake was calm and quiet and nobody was making fun of me. Then Rodney decided the moment was too peaceful. He walked up behind me while I was focused on my line. Without any warning, he shoved me hard between my shoulder blades. I flew off the dock and hit the water face first. The lake was cold and I swallowed a mouthful before I surfaced. My phone was in my pocket. It was destroyed. My clothes were soaked. My fishing rod sank to the bottom. When I climbed back onto the dock, coughing and shivering, Rodney was laughing so hard he could barely breathe. He said I should have seen my face. He said it was just a joke and I needed to learn to take one. He said this was exactly why he couldn't bond with me because I was too sensitive about everything. I walked back to the cabin, dripping wet and humiliated. My mom asked what happened. Rodney told her before I could speak. He made it sound hilarious. He said I went flying and it was the funniest thing he'd ever seen. My mom looked at me and then looked at him, and she laughed too. She actually laughed while I stood there shaking with cold and embarrassment. She told me to go change and stop being so serious. That night I stayed in my room and planned. I wasn't going to confront Rodney. I wasn't going to yell or cry or give him the satisfaction of knowing he got to me. I was going to make him feel exactly how he made me feel. Small, embarrassed, like a joke nobody was laughing at. The next morning was our last full day at the cabin. Rodney announced he wanted to fish again. He asked if I was joining. I said sure. My mom smiled like we were finally getting along. We went back to the dock. Rodney was in a great mood because he thought his prank brought us closer together. He kept chuckling about it and asking if I was going to stand closer to the edge this time. I waited until he was focused on his line. I waited until he was leaning forward, watching for a bite. Then I kicked the back of his knee as hard as I could. Full story on channel, link below.